Hi everyone, and thanks so much for joining me back on my channel. I don't think I'm going to get a lot of hate for saying that the best time to visit the Maritimes provinces weather-wise is in the summer. So if you are planning a trip to Nova Scotia anytime soon, I have the perfect 4-day road trip itinerary for you, starting and ending in Halifax. So let's get into it. So day one is arriving in Halifax. So obviously the amount of time that you have to do the activities on day one of the itinerary here is going to depend on what time your flight comes in. So obviously just be mindful that when you are picking and choosing what you want to do and what you want to see, that you keep in mind how much time you're going to have. Our flight got in pretty early in the morning, so we had a full day to explore Halifax on day one. I'd recommend starting off at the Citadel. So the Citadel offers both guided tours or the opportunity for you to just walk around and browse on your own time. We didn't take a tour just because of timing, but if you do want to take a tour, just make sure you are planning ahead, that you are either booking it in advance or knowing what time those tours are going to leave, so you are at the Citadel on time for your tour. It was really cool to just walk around and read about the history in the museums and different places where they had some plaques as well if you wanted to read about what was all going on during the time that the Citadel was in use. From there, I'd recommend either grabbing lunch and doing a picnic or grabbing a sweet treat or a drink and heading to the Halifax Public Gardens just to walk around those gardens a little bit for a little bit of calm within the storm of the city. And then after that, head to the Halifax waterfront. The waterfront is about 4 kilometers long, so you have a big distance that you can explore the whole thing of if you want to. I'd also say if it's good weather, consider renting a stand-up paddleboard or a kayak and exploring the waterfront via water. And you can also take some boat tours around that area as well. Now, one thing that I learned while I was in Nova Scotia is that apparently Halifax is really well known for their donairs. So maybe for dinner or for lunch, try a donair while you are in Halifax. Stay in Halifax overnight, and then we will head into day 2, which is when you're going to explore small town Nova Scotia. Day 2 is going to start in Halifax and end in what I believe is pronounced as Tatamagouche. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong, but so you're going to drive from Halifax to Tatamagouche. You'll take a few stops along the way. Your first stop is going to be in Truro, where you'll find Victoria Park. From Victoria Park, it's only a short walk to waterfalls like Wattle Falls. Then you'll head back in your car and head to Scottsburn. We did horseback riding in Scottsburn at Shelby Ranch. It was a really fun time overall. We did get rained on the entire time, so we were absolutely drenched and really lucky that we had spare clothes in our car because we were switching hotels already. But if you have good weather especially, I think that horseback riding in Nova Scotia would help make a pretty fun memory for you. After that, you can make your way to Tatamagouche. It is a very small town, but you can explore the local shops, walk along the waterfront, and then grab a bite to eat. They have a food land there if you want to make your own food. They have a few, a couple of pubs if you want pub food, and then they also have a Subway if you want something that you're more familiar with and comfortable with. And then from there, we headed to our hotel. We stayed at Cabina, which was essentially like small homes or small cabins in the woods. So you did have a bed, you had a kitchen if you wanted to cook anything for yourself, and a bathroom indoors. So it was more like glamping than it was camping, but you are also able to, like head outside of the cabin and make yourself a fire, and they provide the firewood and fire starter and everything like that. So it's a nice elevated camping experience if you're into that kind of thing. It was only about 10 minutes from Tatamagouche as well, making it the perfect hotel for this itinerary. Now day 3 is going to be a driving heavy day, so just make sure you're prepared for that. We started off at Joggins Fossil Cliffs or Fossil Center, which gives you the opportunity to go fossil hunting for various plants from the times before the dinosaurs. So some very old plant fossils, which was pretty cool. We did take the guided tour. It was a 30-minute guided tour. Honestly, I personally didn't think it was worth it because you essentially walked down to the cliffs, which you were able to walk to without paying any admissions fee anyway, and just had 30 minutes to do some fossil hunting on your own, and then take those fossils that you find to the guide and they would tell you what it was. Almost always it was a branch or a leaf, really nothing you couldn't figure out on your own. So I personally didn't think that it was worth the fee for the guided tour. They do offer a 60-minute guided tour, and maybe that's something different to consider. But again, I can't speak on that because I did the 30-minute one and didn't really care for it. Regardless, fossil hunting was fun, and then once you're done fossil hunting, you can head to Partridge Island for amethyst hunting. Apparently Nova Scotia has amethyst on their beaches, or at least on some of their beaches. So we spent some time over at Partridge Island looking for those amethysts. Because Nova Scotia has some really low tides and some really high tides, you want to make sure that you are planning your time in Partridge Island when there are low tides for the day, because otherwise everything will be covered up by water and you really won't be able to do the whole task that you're there for. So just make sure planning for Partridge Island at low tide. After Partridge Island, you can head to Five Islands Provincial Park. It's actually a very small park. It is not exactly what I expected when I read Provincial Park, but it was really cute to see. It was a really nice, well-kept park, beautiful views, so I would say make a stop there. We did get rained out, so I didn't get the videos I would have liked to show you folks what it looked like, but if it is nice weather especially, again, it would be a nice place for like a picnic if you wanted to do dinner or lunch as a picnic. And then for your hotel that night, I'd recommend looking for something back in Truro. Truro is a little bit more of a larger town, kind of more of like the suburbs of the GTA, for example. Maybe not that large, but if you're looking for hotel chains that you're familiar with or restaurant chains that you're familiar with, you're going to be able to find them in Truro. So that's why I'd recommend staying there for the night. And then for day four, what you're going to be able to accomplish is going to depend on what time your flight home is at. For us, it was at the end of the day. I think we had to be at the airport for 9 p.m. or something like that. So that gave us an entire day to explore. If, let's say, for example, your flight is early in the morning, day four, what we saw on day four was actually my favorite day. So make sure that you are going to these places, even if it's going to be on day 1, 2, or 3 instead. Just plan your itinerary slightly differently. From Truro, you're going to drive to Lunenburg, which is one of the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. While you're there, you'll be able to see some really colorful houses from the 18th century. And as somebody who likes history, one thing that I really enjoyed while we were there is that the houses all have plaques saying who the house was made for and what their occupation was. And I personally found that kind of interesting. Maybe that's a little nerdy, but I really enjoyed that. While you're there, you might also get the chance to see Blue Nose too. So if you are familiar with the image on the Canadian dime, the 10-cent coin, you'll see Blue Nose on there. It was one of Canada's most famous racing schooners. Blue Nose 2 is essentially the second iteration of that, and it's often docked at the harbour in Lunenburg. And then for your final stop on the trip, you are going to head to Peggy's Cove, which was my absolute favorite thing that we saw in all of Nova Scotia. It is one of Canada's most photographed lighthouses, and I understand why after seeing it. It is so beautiful. The not really the architecture, the landscape around there. You'll see giant rocks surrounding the lighthouse, followed by the water, and it's just a really beautiful place. Situated in a really small fishing town, so just be respectful that those places there are actually people's homes. They're not a tourist destination, so obviously just be respectful of that fact, but enjoy your time while you're in Peggy's Cove, grab yourself some ice cream, enjoy the beautiful scenery, and then it's time to head back to the Halifax airport. And there's your 4-day Nova Scotia itinerary. Hopefully this is a good place for you to start if you are looking to plan your trip to Nova Scotia. I really enjoyed my time there. It was a really beautiful place to visit, especially if you've never been to the Maritimes before. It gives you a really good glimpse about what the Maritimes is all about. Obviously each province is slightly different, but I've been to a couple of them now and there are a lot of similarities between them. But you will really enjoy your time, I'm sure of it, especially if you hit some of those places that I've said throughout this video. So if you do go there and you check out any of these places, be sure to let me know in the comments what you think of them. And if you have any other recommendations, maybe you're a local to Nova Scotia and you have any recommendations for folks to visit while they're there, feel free to pop those in the comments as well. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time. Thanks!